I swear these other podcasts are just a waste of time. I'm skipping through them, I'd rather listen and change my mind. Wes and Nick always help me through my daily grind. Your favorite guys, your favorite lines, change my mind. I swear these other podcasts are just a waste of time. I'm skipping through them, I'd rather listen and change my mind. Wes and Nick always help me through my daily grind. Your favorite guys, your favorite lines, change my mind.
Yeah. All right, I'm coming in hot. Off the top rope.
Okay.
It's okay to fart in front of your significant other. Change my mind.
Wait a minute. When in the relationship?
Well, we don't have to get into a when. We don't put qualifiers on it, right off the top rope.
That's important.
We'll just go black and white, just generally speaking.
So we're talking as a guy, it's okay, or just anybody?
Anyone, yeah.
I don't know, Wes. I mean, if I'm dating a girl right away and then she rips one right in front of me, I'd be a little uncomfortable. And I would feel bad too.
Okay, so what's the time frame? What's the threshold?
Honestly, even then with girls, like if they rip one in front of me, it's like I don't want to hear that. Like if it happens and I don't hear it, then that's fine. Whatever.
Would you rather hear it or smell it?
Honestly, with a girl, I'd rather smell it.
Really?
Yep.
How about just in general? Like, what is your preferred way of taking in a fart?
When I'm around with the guys, I'd rather hear it and not smell it.
Yeah.
Definitely not. But with the girls, like,
you'd rather smell the fart?
Yeah. I'd rather smell it because, like, I can get...
Just really soak up her scent, right?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Right.
But, I mean, it's definitely... You're telling me it's... Like, and I feel bad. I don't want to have that double standard. Like, I don't want to be able to do it in front of you whenever and not be okay with you doing it.
I think it's hysterical.
Really?
Yeah. The wife doesn't do it. There was one instance, but it's hotly debated.
How early in the relationship was that?
Oh, a couple of years in. I probably waited a year.
Oh, okay.
But now the issue is,
okay.
So now I just let him fly freely, and it's like a running joke. She says she hates him, but cracks up every time I fart. And the issue is that we got these new granola bars. It's Fiber One. Is the name of them. So it gives you a lot of fiber. It's way more, but they're delicious. But it's way more fiber than of your daily intake than you need. Mm-hmm. So you have one, I'm good.
You have more?
Two,
yeah.
If I have two, then I'm just like ripping loud farts that don't smell.
Yeah.
But like loud farts, like stock farts.
Yeah, that's gonna happen. I used to have that happen with. I don't think I ever had those bars, but I had it with Quest bars.
Oh,
and they are very rich in fiber too, and that used to do some damage on me for sure.
I can't eat them. We just finished the box. I had like a 30 pack, and I've been slowly working my way through them. I just finished them today, and I'm like, good. I just got to get them out of my system.
When I'm not this super clean eater, but I eat much better than I used to when I was in college, and even before that too. And man, when I started making a concerted effort to eat like I think a normal human does, they started flying right away. Like it was bad, and it smelled terrible too.
Oh, and it's only going to change. Your body's going to, different things are going to react differently now as you get older.
Yeah, this is true.
So it's just a little as someone who's living in your future.
Right.
That's a word to the wise.
But like if I'm with you, like right now, if you did it and Tim did it, I'd rather hear it and have it be just as loud as possible.
Yeah,
and not smell it.
That's my preferred way to take in a fart.
Exactly. Well, but if it's female, I don't want to hear it.
I want heard but not smelt.
I
unless
guess
it's my own, I'm okay with that.
There are times where I'm okay with my own.
Box myself in the car, really lock the windows out.
No, that's terrible. That's cruel and unusual punishment.
Close the vents off.
Even for yourself. That's brutal, man.
Welcome back after a little bit of a layoff to, I believe this is episode 41 of the Change My Mind podcast.
I do believe you are correct, sir.
Wesley Sykes joined here as always to the Terrence Howard, to my John Cheadle, Wesley's Nick Fryer.
Wow.
Wesley Sykes introducing Wesley Sykes.
There you go. That's exactly right.
And then of course we got our resident guy in the chair, Tim Weisberg. Tim, how we doing?
Hello.
Oh,
that's a terrible insult to him.
Yeah, it is. It's the worst one he's come up with.
We'll get into that
far.
later, but
that's a pretty good one. Anyway.
Yeah, it's the meanest one he said so far, I would say.
Hopefully you're following along on the live stream here, WBSM 1420 AM's YouTube channel. And just as a little precursor, we won't be having a live stream next week. It'll just be audio only, and then we'll be back the following week back on the live stream there. So that's just a little heads up there. But this week and today, we're going to be going back in time, hopping in the Wayback Machine a little bit.
Back in the vault, maybe you could say.
It could, possibly. It's a vault. It's vault-ish.
It's an honor.
2008.
You were saying Disney Plus. They have the Vault, and this
That's
is on
right.
Disney Plus.
Yes, of course. But we're going to be talking about Iron Man.
Very excited.
And we're going to be doing a little deep dive. This is going to be a running, ongoing series, I guess you could say, in the Change My Mind podcast.
Yeah, we won't have it every episode, but we'll be doing that throughout the course of things as we're waiting for. Is the next one Black Widow? Is that right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, so until we get to there, we'll be mixing that in here and there unless there's other things we want to talk about. We were already spitballing other ideas before the show, but yes, we will be doing that. Very excited for this one. I hadn't seen it from start to finish, Wes. God, it had to be at least like 7 years, something like that. It's been a while.
It holds up.
Oh, it definitely holds up.
It holds up.
But first, you got news and notes for us to get to, too, right?
Yes, we do. And we already kind of teased it. Just looked at Disney Plus.
Yeah.
It's here.
Oh, man, is it ever?
And his life changed forever.
It's, Netflix needs, like, they should have been worried beforehand. Now that we've all seen it, they're in trouble.
So I will describe to you what happened on my Saturday night. So I sit down and I have a Google Home and one TV and another one that's just cable. And through the cable, I can access Netflix, but I can't access Disney Plus yet. It's not available through Xfinity yet.
Gotcha.
So I turn on Netflix first. I'm like, oh, yeah, I have my little snack here. I got my drink. Like, I'm ready to kind of like plop down and kind of dive into something. Can't find anything on Netflix. I'm searching. There's nothing. Go into the other room, take my snack, take my drink, pop on Disney Plus, and have a great time.
Yeah, because there's endless amounts of
endless things. All the 90s throwback stuff, like the Disney original movies.
I mean, you guys are saying endless, but there's not a lot.
It's limited. It's still limited.
Yeah, once you get through it, you're going to say, okay, now what am I going to do with this? But hopefully they'll have another wave of releases.
Right.
They have an unbelievable starting point, though, Tim. I mean, you and I were talking about beforehand. They have the X-Men, the animated series. They have 2 other X-Men shows that came after that one.
All the Spider-Mans.
Exactly. That was my next one. Then you have DuckTales, right? Is DuckTales on there?
Yeah.
Darkwing Duck's on there.
All the old Disney
Chip and Dale.
stuff.
All that stuff.
Yeah, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these things, they may not hold up quite as well, but the stuff that you're going to want to
people are still going to watch them, yeah.
You have all the Marvel movies. You have all the Disney
Well, not all
kids
the Marvel movies, though. I think you have like
some are missing
10 or something like that.
But that's a good starting point, I would say. You got Endgame.
And what the nice caveat is something that I think has been a staple of Netflix is having the rewatchable sitcoms that you can just kind of have on in the fish tank, kind of thing.
Yep.
And they have it in The Simpsons.
That's right. Yeah, they have The Simpsons.
It's genius. And they got the documentary thing to kind of with National Geographic to kind of combat Netflix documentaries and everything that they have. So
then they have Hulu in there too. You got ESPN Plus.
If you do the bundle, I don't think I did the bundle.
Oh, I did the bundle.
Yeah,
I'm in on it with somebody else, and they got the bundle. So, but that probably would have done what you had.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's. I mean,
and of course you get the Mandalorian, Star Wars, all that stuff.
Oh my God, that show! We were high on it going into it. I'm sold on it through the first 2 episodes. I mean, it didn't take much. It's outstanding. It's a good Western, I think.
I'm halfway through the second episode, and it's good. I like it. It's just a little slow. It's tough to develop for me.
I think it's got that Western feel.
Yeah,
that's why
I'm not sure if I'm sold on that.
I think it's supposed to be slow so that it can last multiple episodes, too.
Right.
But, hey, give Jon Favreau a Star Wars movie.
Yeah,
exactly.
Sure. The man knows what he's doing. I mean, he's got this, and he's got Iron Man and other things. He clearly knows what's up.
He is the one to start off huge franchises, huge IP franchise. I mean, that's the guy, clearly. Right?
Very true. But the first thing that I did when I started getting going on Disney Plus was watch X-Men the animated series.
Yeah, it was getting the opening intro. I saw your tweet about that. That was great.
God.
I watched a little bit of Avengers Assemble. I went back and watched some things on Beta Ray Bill and on Secret Wars and Secret Invasions and all that stuff.
So
I thought that was kind of
Assemble, is that like from?
So it came out in 2010, but it's still based off like comics and stuff. So they have the Fantastic Four in there, and the X-Men, and the Spider-Man. It's all kind of blending in there.
Now, is it very obviously some of these shows are more like Chip and Dale is very much a little kid show, from what I remember.
Yeah, I would say it's on par with the Spider-Man or the X-Men animated series type thing.
Is.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Okay. All right, I'm looking forward to that.
Oh,
that will be in there at some point for me for sure. But yeah, it's outstanding. I couldn't be happier with how this looks so far.
A lot of good stuff. It's like, we were saying there's not a whole lot of it's not as much content. It's not as big of a library as Netflix has. But I think the batting average, the on-base percentage is high. There's a lot there that I want to watch more so than Netflix. having to scroll through for 25 minutes to settle on something.
I'm not just saying this because it was a baseball reference. That's a great point.
Yes, thank you.
I couldn't
But
agree
that being
with you
said,
more.
there's some things missing that I would have liked to have seen.
Like?
Disney movies I haven't seen in forever.
Such as?
Watcher in the Woods, which is one of the, for people my age, it's like one of the cornerstone movies when you saw that, because it's like, oh my God, a Disney movie can be scary. Something Wicked This Way Comes, kind of along the same lines. I was glad to see that Return to Oz is on there, though.
So that was the sequel to Wizard of Oz?
There was a sequel that came out in 1983 or 4, but a very dark sequel. Dorothy is given electroshock therapy to try to make her stop talking about the Land of Oz. And
Damn.
the queen that she has to fight is known for taking off her head and switching it with other heads. And there's this scene when Dorothy walks into like this hall of heads and they all just start talking.
Oh my God.
It's very freaky for kids.
Is this the same Dorothy too? From the original movie?
No, this came out in 1983 or 4.
Oh, okay.
So,
I've never seen it. So.
this is, Fairuza Balk from The Craft, and she was in some other stuff.
I might recognize her.
Yeah, she was young Dorothy in the time. Dorothy's actually younger in this movie than she was in the first one.
Oh.
Makes sense.
Because in the book, she's actually much younger than she was in the original 1939 movie.
Okay. That was in 39 that came out. Wow. Okay.
So it would not be the same actress. Yeah.
Dumb question.
Yes.
Okay.
Other news to get to here. I just kind of have this labeled as superhero news.
Yep.
We'll just run through it quickly. The Rock's posted a picture of himself on his Instagram as Black Adam with the date 12/22/2021.
So a little ways away.
Ways away, but everyone's doing it now. That's all the popular stuff.
This is true.
Marvel added 5 new movie dates, so like the 2022-2023 slate.
I think The Rock will be good in that role. I think
so too. I mean, the fan art or whatever that the graphic was that went along with the date looked awesome. It looks the part.
Look, anything The Rock's in, generally, you're going to want to give it a chance.
Right.
You go and put it with superhero stuff in Shazam, which is already fun.
Is already done well. One of the better DC movie properties.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, it seems like on a weekly basis we got updates on the Batman film from Matt Reeves here. Colin Farrell, Andy Serkis linked as the Penguin and Alfred respectively in the new movie, and then also a new bat suit. Kind of, I don't know if this goes back to, some of the different comic books.
I think I saw it was close to Adam West.
Yes, yeah.
That is what I think I saw.
So it's going to be a blue, kind of gray with the white eye sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, when I think of the blue outfit, I think of Adam West, and then I also think of, wasn't it Todd McFarlane that drew him with a blue cape, Tim? When he first took over for Batman, and he had the huge cape, and it was all blue.
I'm not sure. I want to say that there was some blue in the original Dark Knight Returns.
There might have been.
So
I'm pretty. I just the one of the Batman images I think of is McFarlane with I forget where he was, but he just the cape was just ridiculously gigantic, which is one of his favorite things to do with his characters.
I'm never sure about blue in comics anyway. Like I'm never sure if it's really blue or if it's supposed to be black. Because a lot of times they make it blue. Right. Because just the.
Imagine if that's what it was like with the X-Men, where like Cyclops was supposed to be all black in his outfit.
Right.
That would be weird. That would be a weird mistake.
Yeah.
But like you look at a guy like like some of the Morbius drawings, like there's more blue than there is black. But it's supposed to be black.
Right.
I think it's just kind of an inking thing.
Well, you mentioned the Adam West, Batman allusions there. It kind of makes you wonder. Is Matt Reeves, lifting more from that Batman Adam West era than we think? Because the main characters in that were Penguin, the Riddler. They had all these kind of big characters, and it was kind of a big ensemble villains, right? I don't think there was really just one. All these villains were kind of already in the universe already.
Right. Yeah, I think that's what's going to be the case because
which I kind of like.
Yeah, because we've heard that it's going to be more detective Batman as opposed to the world is about to end Batman. And I wouldn't mind turning back the clock a little bit, seeing that. I think it's a good way to reset things without necessarily having to tell his origin story. It's still kind of his origin story, but not exactly the same thing. We don't need to see, and I would love it if he completely ignores like the very first thing that set off that Bruce Wayne becoming Batman.
Do we need that one more time? Add that onto the Joker, right? Getting the clutching of the pearls.
I need the Vegas odds on that. I'm very curious to what that is.
Would you put money on it if they do the Batman origin story?
I'd think about it.
Yeah.
I'm not a gambling man, but I would definitely think about that one.
I might put a few shekels down on that.
Why not, right?
Yeah.
Make it a little more interesting.
Staying in D.C., yesterday, Sunday, November, what's the date here? 17th, came and went. and the Snyder Cut was not released.
Oh,
another year gone by without the Snyder Cut.
Yeah. Well, we know.
I didn't even know that was a thing. I saw it on Casey Walsh.
Casey Walsh,
Geeks Worldwide,
hates the Snyder Cut people.
Yeah.
But then we see Gal Gadot clamoring
Ben
for
Affleck.
it. Yeah, they're clamoring for the Snyder Cut. I thought this whole time it was just BS, and then he made up, but it's real. And they want it. Now the actors want it.
Well, apparently some actors don't want it, particularly extra actors.
Oh, right, yes.
If that's correct.
We have inside information on this.
Yeah, my buddy John E.L. Tenney was one of the extras in the filming of Batman vs. Superman, and he sent this out. It's 2 tweets, so I'm just going to read you the 2 tweets. He says, "Here's my Zack Snyder story. I was an extra, as were many people, in Batman vs. Superman. During one scene at Superman's memorial, we all stood looking somber, as we should. Superman is dead, after all. We did the take about 7 or 8 times, just a huge crowd looking sad. About the 8th time we did it, Snyder, on a crane over us, screams down, 'You don't look sad enough! Can't you remember what you looked like during 9/11? Give me your 9/11 faces!' And he says, that's my story. I really don't need anyone to #release the Snyder Cut."
Wow.
So if you didn't already know, Zack Snyder, kind of a D-bag.
Kind of. Yeah, that's a little nuts. That's, I mean, come on, man. You don't say something like that.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even a matter of saying it publicly or not. It's just like it's just a messed up thing to say to somebody.
I mean, how many extras do you think were there for that scene? Hundreds?
Right. Yeah.
You don't know. And you don't know if somebody, and they could have someone who wasn't there, but they lost someone in there, or someone close to that.
Right.
Like, that's just, that's brutal, man. I'd walk off. If I had someone close to me die in that, I'd walk off. That's
right. Yeah. No thanks. Not worth it for me.
But there you go. That's Zack Snyder.
Yeah, that's the Snyder Cut in 2019.
That being said, I still kind of want to see the Snyder Cut.
I do want to see it. Yeah, if it's out there, I want to see it.
Yeah, definitely.
With the director's commentary.
Oh.
Right. Show me your 9/11 faces!
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes. All the outtakes, please.
Last bit of DC news.
Yes.
Yes.
So I had the privilege of seeing Harley Quinn before it's released on the DC Universe app. I can't share the details of it yet, other than that I will say...
as they say in the biz, it's embargoed, I believe.
It is embargoed. That review with spoilers, which I'm a little surprised by because it comes out on the 29th. But that review with spoilers will be out on the 22nd. So today's the 18th. That means Friday.
Friday, yeah.
So Friday, that review, it's already written. That will be out, ready for you guys. I will say, when we talked about The Mandalorian at first of all, it's nothing like that. Okay, I don't think anybody's expecting that. But I think that when we first saw about The Mandalorian, it was a show that we said I wouldn't get Hulu just to watch The Mandalorian. I think that's, but I still thought it was going to be a good show. I think that's a fair way to talk about this movie.
Right.
So you don't have DC Universe app. I wouldn't.
It's not a reason to go out and solely get it just for the purpose of watching Harley Quinn.
Right.
Yeah.
But if you had it, then I would be stunned if you didn't want to watch it.
Okay.
And if you watched it, I would be stunned if you didn't enjoy it.
Okay.
So that's where that's at.
Give me a little tease of what happens.
I can't.
A tease, just a little, maybe a hint. Just drop me a little crumb, a nugget.
I think I can give it to you maybe off air, but I can't.
I don't want it then.
I'm sorry. I don't want it. I'll get in trouble. We'll get in trouble for having the extra benefits. I think I've already said too much.
Oh wow. Okay. Well, hold it there. Last bit of news before we move on to the comic book minute. This is just a bit of personal news here for our good dear friend Nick. Per digitalspy.com, Ben Barnes, yes, the man who played Billy Russo / Jigsaw from Netflix's hit The Punisher,
which Wes is down on, but whatever,
has been in talks with Marvel about playing, quote, a couple different superhero roles over the last year or so, but it was too close to The Punisher's release to do it with Marvel.
Okay.
So it goes on. Geeks Worldwide's Thomas Polito speculated on Twitter recently, I think this is a couple weeks old now, that it could be Moon Knight, but later speculated it could have been for the role of Black Knight in the upcoming Eternals movie that ultimately went to Kit Harington. That's why that timing didn't necessarily work out. So my question for you, how hard are you, Nick? That's it.
I'd like that a lot. If he played Moon Knight. I don't know anything about Black Knight, but if he was Moon Knight, when it was Keanu and we were talking about that idea, I liked it because it's Keanu. We all like Keanu. But when you go and
it's too big. He's too big for that role.
Yeah, I think Keanu could play. Well, I think Keanu could play Mark Spector, the main guy. But there's the multiple personality stuff.
Of course.
And
age-old question: How is his Bruce Wayne?
Yeah, exactly. So he has 4 roles that he's got to take on. You got to do Moon Knight, Mark Spector, Jake Lockley, and I always forget the like billionaire guy that is his 4th personality. But he has to take on 4 different characters essentially. Mm-hmm. And I think that might be too much for Keanu. Now we're talking about Ben Barnes, who's played a mentally unstable guy already. Right. And I think that I think he could do that. I think the jump from his Billy Russo to what I believe Mark Spector to be and all the personalities he has to take on, I think he could do that. Anyone outside of Moon Knight you'd like to see him play? Outside of Moon Knight? Yeah. I think he has good range. Any X-Men? That could be interesting. If you're alluding to Gambit because I'm wearing a Gambit shirt today, no. I think that could be interesting. I mean, he's a good actor, so I'd be open to it, but that's not something I would necessarily go and say, yeah, put him in that role. The name I put down, Beta Ray Bill. Oh. CGI him a little bit. He doesn't have to look like him and everything, just get his voice in there. I don't know Beta Ray Bill as well, so that's why I'm interested. I'm just trying to think of other characters they could introduce down the road that are already in movies that are set up. Road. I'm just going to chime in and say I'm convinced at this point that Keanu is going to be the Silver Surfer. I love that. I like that. I think we were on board with that when we first talked. That would make sense. The more they're not talking about who he's going to play, the more I'm convinced it's Silver Surfer, and it's perfect. It's epic. It'd be even better if it was, what's it, Johnny? What's his name in Utah? Yeah, Johnny Utah. Mm-hmm. Silver Surfer. We can make it happen. I like that. Stephen Grant was the other personality that was bugging the crap out of me. Sorry, yes. Of course. Okay. Who could forget, right? Anyways, comic book minute. Yeah. What do we got on your comic book minute here? So 2 things. One, so I reviewed Deathstroke 49. If it was last week, no, it was 2 weeks ago. The last issue of Christopher Priest writing Deathstroke comes out in December. He has done a phenomenal job with this character. DC's got to have something bigger planned. Like I imagine, after doing it as long as Priest has, 50 issues is a long time. Because you think about it, it's 12 issues a year. Oh yeah. Or it's 11 issues and then the annual. That's a lot. No, 12 issues and then the annual. That's a lot. He's been doing this for years now. He's done an outstanding job. Looks like he's gonna finish it off well. Not a shock. I hope DC has somebody else in line to take over the character, whatever their next phase is going to be, because they've already taken out a few different stories, and I thought Deathstroke was one of the ones that was doing well. Obviously, Priest was killing it. Yeah. The other thing was Nightwing. My review for that is coming out this week. Nice. Now, that's Nightwing 66. The Rick Grayson era has not, Nightwing fans have not been a huge fan of that. Sure. Now, I was giving it a chance at first, but then I fell into that group. It started to piss me off. The last 2 issues, the annual and the one that's coming out this week, have been good. And I don't know if I could say made it worth it. I mean, for me, it has. The diehard Nightwing fans, it's tough. It's just there was such a switch in the character. Now it looks like he's turning evil. So I'm all about that. You don't say. I think if you guys want to hop back in, if you want to go back, look at the reviews that I did for Geeks Worldwide. You'll get an idea of what's going on. Pick up the annual, so it's Nightwing Annual 2, and then go from there, and you'll have an idea of what's going on. Okay. But all right. Anyways, I like it. Drinking Buddies. Yes. We did this one already, or is this? No, this is no. We didn't do this one. Okay, good. All right, so we're all set. All right, perfect. So this week. We have the choices between, oddly enough, we just brought up Keanu, right? Yeah. Neo from the Matrix, one, and then in honor of Disney Plus, Qui-Gon Jinn, of course, played by Liam Neeson. But we're talking about Qui-Gon Jinn, not Liam Neeson. Do you want to go first, or do you want Tim to go first? Let's go with Tim. Tim? Yeah. Who are you picking between Neo and Qui-Gon Jinn as your drinking buddy? I would go with Qui-Gon Jinn in that case. Neo was not a guy that had a lot of substance before he became Neo, and even as Neo, like, he doesn't have a lot of substance. So I feel like I'd have better conversations with Qui-Gon. He'd probably, I think, as he got drunker, he'd probably let slip some Jedi knowledge. Qui-Gon would. Yeah. Well, this is my question. Does the Jedi religion, quote unquote, allow Jedi to get drunk? Ooh. I want to say that I seem to remember there being a scene where they go into a bar and they have to pass up drinking. Okay. And right. But I can't. But Qui-Gon's also one to kind of bend the rules a little bit too, right? More than most Jedi. Okay. Still a Jedi, but that's where he kind of got in trouble with the Council sometimes. I just don't want him to sneak midi-chlorians into my drink when I'm not looking. Right. Yeah, that could be dangerous. Who are you picking, Wes?
I think I'm going with Tim on this one.
Okay.
Neo is just seems like he's
one-dimensional.
Yeah, like a few eggs short of a dozen up there, you know.
I think that,
and then you'd be too spacey. Like, it'd be tough to have conversations with him. Like, what if I didn't believe in the Matrix and the red and the blue pill? And I'm like, what is kind of drugs?
well,
is
is
going
that
on?
over the Jedi stuff?
Well, if someone has a lightsaber and they can pull it out in front of me, that's a little more tangible.
That's fair.
Can we just say that, like, the Matrix explanation has got to be the worst bar conversation you could ever have with some guy you don't even know? Hey, man, let me tell you something.
It's all just a simulation.
None of this is real, man. There is no spoon.
Right.
Well, you have one guy who comes up to you and says, I can make that chair float.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
If he did it, then I'd buy it. But if he's full of it, then no. But if Neo can go, if he says none of this is real, and then he shows you it, like Qui-Gon can, because Neo can he not?
Only if you believe it. You have to buy into it.
Right, yeah.
That's
was
what
that
the pill
Neo's
was all
issue
about.
with about
of the pill?
jumping the two buildings, right? Why he couldn't do it, right?
Because he couldn't believe.
The pill was only
he could still
an avatar for belief.
Right.
You don't actually have to take the pill.
So he doesn't
believe.
have to take the pill. But he could see Morpheus do it, couldn't he? It was about him being able to do it.
But also, he was already kind of buying into the idea of the Matrix because of the messages he was getting over his computer.
But he wasn't fully
up to
bought
it.
in, so
Yeah.
he couldn't do it himself.
Yes.
Either way, I can't fake it. I'd go with Qui-Gon too. I mean, I feel like he's going to have a ton more stories if you're able to get him drunk. And if he's never been drunk before, it's not going to take much. You know, he's already got some beef with the Jedi Council to some extent. He's got his own beliefs and things that he wants to do. I'd love to pick his brain and know what the hell he's got going on and where he started hearing about the afterlife. He must have learned about. He had to learn about it before he died, right?
That's a good point.
There's no other way he came back.
That would be an interesting topic right there.
Yeah.
The downside would be as if he got drunk and started talking politics. I don't want to sit there and talk about the Trade Federation for
Right,
2
yeah,
hours.
that's Attack of the Clones right there. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Got enough of
Let
that.
me tell you about the Trade Federation. No.
Yeah, I think that's a good point too.
All right, I think that's it. I think we're good for our main topic here. Huh?
Yes, the one that started it all, although the Hulk came out first, right? Or was it this that came out first?
No, it was this one that came out
first.
first.
And then
Yeah.
this was also in the Hulk.
The other
that's what it
Hulk
was.
doesn't count.
The Eric Bana.
No,
Hulk.
Eric
the
Bana.
Ang Lee Hulk, that doesn't
Are
count.
we gonna do that Hulk though? Edward Norton's Hulk?
We should, yeah.
we should. If we're gonna do it right, we should.
Yeah,
Damn it.
absolutely.
I didn't think about that.
That would be next, I think.
It is next, yeah. That's why I was confused. Okay, so we got Iron Man.
Okay, so Iron Man. 2008 release. After being held captive in an Afghan cave, billionaire engineer Tony Stark creates a unique weaponized suit of armor to fight evil. Directed by Jon Favreau, starring Robert Downey Jr., Gwyneth Paltrow, Jeff Bridges, Terrence Howard. Received a 7.9 out of 10 on IMDb. Had a 94-91 split on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
Pulled in $98.6 million on its opening weekend, again back in 2008.
That's nuts.
As well as a $585 million worldwide grossing.
I think if
It ranks 19 out of 23rd in the MCU movies.
Or the
as
box
far
office.
as for box office.
So this is one of those times where I don't agree with IMDb and much closer to Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
Especially when it first came out, I would have absolutely had
Unreal.
this in the 90s.
Yeah.
I would still say it's in the 80s for me, but like a high, like probably like 80s, probably 89.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and for the time too, looking back on it and being able to, it's nuts. I mean, that's one of my favorite Iron Man suits. It's not my favorite.
Right.
The look's just perfect.
The Mark III, yeah.
Yeah. So I put it at 89. Do you have a retcon or looking back?
Yeah,
at
looking
score?
back on it, I'm at a solid 92.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think we're right around it.
I think if you go above 95, you're reaching. And below 85,
I'm still trying to think. Yeah, so it's probably, I know right around Avengers Endgame we talked about where our top 10 Marvel movies were personal rankings. Mm-hmm. This was in the top 10 for me.
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean,
think it falls right in there.
In the great, like if you're being objective about it, and we're not, like those were our personal lists. If we're being objective about it, I mean, it's probably top 3. I would say. Mm-hmm. I think it's that, and I think it's Infinity War. Some people might disagree with me that Endgame is there too, but I think those are the 3 most important movies. And then after that, it's kind of there are some toss-ups. There's debatable ones. There's Black Panther. There's I wouldn't say Ragnarok, but I would say Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. Those are the ones that would be in Winter Soldier. Those are all the next ones.
Yeah, and I think just from a standpoint of this movie, what it was able to do as far as revitalizing the career of Robert Downey Jr. And really just setting off this 20-year run or so or 10-year run, I should say, excuse me, of MCU movies, and just what it was able to build off in that time. Also, for that movie, not really much of a superhero movie if you think about it. It's really about maybe like the last third of the movie, the last act of it is, but it's all about Tony Stark and him kind of coming to grips with that his company is selling. Yeah, dirty weapons, pretty much.
It's him becoming, the person that he is now that we've become more familiar with.
Tim,
you can't forget the context of the time that the movie came out.
Right.
Immediately fall. You're 7 years out from 9/11, and so this is actually a thing that people were discussing in America: is are we proliferating more of this war by creating these weapons that are supposed to defend us?
Yeah, and they still hadn't found Osama at that time yet either, right? I don't think they had. That happened when I was in college.
I don't think so, but weapons of mass destruction were a big thing at that time. And, here you have the guy who's responsible for creating these, watching the terrorists use his same weapons against the people that he's making them to defend.
Right.
Yeah, it was. He's just in the like from start to finish. The flair is still there, no matter what. None of that changed in the course of time. And yes, there was in terms of what was behind it, but he's just still always the rapidness of how he talks. I think it was a perfect storm too, because you have a guy who's a known name, but his career's
still on the down.
Exactly, his career's a mess at that point. This is a character who's not been widely popular through the years. You have the Marvels and what's it going to be situation. As much as the start, you don't know what's going to happen. It is a very important movie, and it all kind of came together perfectly.
Who cared about, like you said, who cared about Iron Man? Who cared about the Avengers as far as the comics and everything? It's kind of a trash.
It lowered the stakes.
Yeah.
So if it didn't, it was like the Tom Cruise Mummy movie that was supposed to kick off the dark universe for Universal.
So dumb.
And it didn't work, so they scrapped the whole thing. So if this didn't work and it was a bomb and they scrapped the whole idea of the MCU, then all it cost us was Robert Downey Jr. We had Jon Favreau, the guy from Swingers, directing it.
Right.
And we used a third-rate Marvel property to try to launch this thing. So
and that's what's been so impressive about the MCU is they have not used their best Marvel property in the MCU. They haven't had the X-Men at their disposal by far,
or Spider-Man for that matter.
For the most part, definitely. Because now you look at it, your favorite character is Iron Man.
Yeah.
And
without question.
I think a lot of people are in that same camp as you. The Iron Man's their guy. That's why people are still devastated on social media.
And you even see on the Avengers Assemble cartoon show that I was talking about, they retconned, much like they did with Nick Fury and Samuel L. Jackson and that type of thing. They created the Iron Man in the comics and in the TV show to resemble Robert Downey Jr.'s. He became so synonymous with that character.
Good.
Which I think is interesting.
And you can't really make him too much of an alcoholic in a kid's show, I feel like.
Right. Well, yeah, that's a little tough, too.
Can I tell you that it warms my heart that you're going back and watching an animated show? I love it. I wouldn't think you would unless it's like the animated series fan. or
no, it's
Batman.
Fun. Because it's like, it kind of gives you an idea of where they may go next. Like it's like almost like I'm reading the comics, but I don't have to read.
Yes.
It's a little cheat sheet.
It's very important for you.
I got a couple of scenarios. Yes, for the writer reporter.
You do enough reading at work.
Exactly. Thanks for that. A couple of categories here. Best scene. So I have a couple of nominees here. Maybe you guys can fill in some as well. The Jericho weapons demonstration in the mountain range when everything's exploding behind him, and you got kind of Robert Downey Jr. with his hands out, kind of like the Church of Christ, Christ the Redeemer type of thing going on there, which I thought was really cool.
I really like the imagery of that.
Yeah. I think that was a really cool scene. The entire cave scene when him and Ho Yinsen are building up the original Mark I suit up until he breaks out and then flies off and then gets rescued by Terrence Howard. Like, that whole scene is great because you kind of really see Ho Yinsen, who I think is like sneaky, really what did they say on Bill Simmons' Rewatchable podcast? The Dion Waiters Award, best heat check performance in a movie. Like, he comes in, doesn't have a whole lot of lines and a whole lot of on-screen time, but he plays a really awesome role and kind of really helps shape Tony into the man that he is now.
I forgot how long he was in that cave for.
Oh, yeah.
I felt like it, as looking back on it before watching this, I thought, it's like
a good portion of the
5
movie.
minutes. Yeah, it's a real good portion of the movie.
The other one is the changing of the arc reactor with Pepper. Like, when they're kind of doing the not octopus. No, what am I want to say? Operation. Yes, not octopus. Thank you. I was at a loss of words there. But a really nice scene between him and Pepper kind of establishes the relationship and that she's willing to do anything.
And she didn't get the Operation reference. Come on,
right? Yeah,
get out of here. No way. Everybody knows Operation.
And then the last one is putting on the Mark III suit for the first time.
So that would have been...
So when it's all like screwing on, and it's the first time you see the red and the yellow suit, and you see everything in the suit, and that kind of folds down on his face.
I would say...
Those are some great scenes.
My favorite scene, those are all good ones. My favorite one is definitely when he goes and saves that village that's under attack.
Yes.
We've seen it a few times on social media because they turned it into kind of like a meme with that little kid who does the screaming when he drops his ice cream.
Yeah.
And his voice sounds just like whenever Iron Man is loading up his blasters. That scene is... I mean, to think about what they were able to do back in 2008, like, yeah, they've grown a ton. Don't get me wrong. Watching Endgame, it's like they've grown so much through the years.
But it's not that much of a drop off.
With Iron Man himself, not that much of a drop off. It's just his suit became more advanced. The technology that they use now became more advanced to display that. But back then, it's like that's for 2008. That's nuts.
Yeah, and he's able to zero in on the bad guys. They got all the hostages and everything, right? And he's able to just pinpoint all of them. He's got the little bullets, and they just bam, they all just drop in an instant right there. And that just proves how much. Yeah, how superior his tech is.
That was definitely my favorite scene of that movie.
Tim, you got a favorite nominee here?
From that list,
or anything.
I like when he first tries to figure out how to make the thrusters work.
Oh yeah.
And he thought the exact same thing that I thought watching the movie the first time. Not the cars.
Right.
Yeah. Not the cars.
And he's got the robot who keeps extinguishing them every time there. Right.
I forgot that he formally referred to that as dummy.
Right. Yeah.
I forgot about that.
With the dunce cap. Right. That might be in one of the later films. He puts the dunce cap on him. But anyway, another category I got here. What's aged the best?
Between
from the movie. So a couple of nominees that I have here from now and to then, going back, what's aged the best about this movie?
Okay.
I just said Robert Downey Jr. I think he's had a significant glow up physically. I think he just looks a lot more
so you mean
more Hollywood.
His portrayal in that movie or him from
him as the actor? Him as the actor just overall.
Okay.
I think he's obviously
becoming an A-lister again.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, he is. I think I can't say he's the A-lister, but for kids, I mean, anybody who was a kid in 2008.
No, don't forget though, that movie turned him into an A-lister. He got the Sherlock Holmes franchise.
I'm saying he is an A-lister. I'm sorry, he is an A-lister. But I was going to say, is he the A-lister now? Because whether or not you want to say it's him or you want to say it's Chris Evans, that's the face of that franchise.
No, you mean of the Marvel universe?
Is he? Because you look at it now.
I'm talking about an A-lister in terms of the rest of Hollywood.
He's an A-lister. Period. Like Hollywood, whatever, however you want to qualify it.
He's maybe top 25 in Hollywood.
Okay, but for a certain generation, I mean, he's one of the most known actors. I mean, I would say
sure, yeah.
So,
but he's not a prolific actor, though. I think of someone like Bruce Willis or someone like Mel Gibson at their height, or Tom Hanks, who are just like churning out movies, roles, The Rock, and everything. He's really just been Iron Man, Sherlock Holmes. There's been a couple other roles along the way.
He's Iron Man, though. But
he's Iron Man, yeah.
You're right. But, I mean, he did that. He was that role for 10 years, and that's the most popular franchise going. And I just feel like that when you talk about the ultimate A-lister, maybe he's not there right now, but if he goes and does something else good, I think he can be in that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's one of the highest paid actors. Yeah, so if we're judging it by that.
He's going to be one of those guys that I think now that he'll be on. I think he's done with the blockbuster franchise stuff.
Well, Dr. Dolittle, you never know.
No, but I think now he's going to go and you're going to see like more dramatic stuff from him again.
That's fine.
Because he was a great dramatic actor as a younger, in his 20s, but it's just the drug thing kind of.
Right. Yeah. That'll get you.
Yeah.
That'll get you.
He was just, but I mean, so what else do you have in terms of like?
Yeah, so what's aged the best? So I think Ho Yinsen, the captured scientist that I already mentioned, like I think looking back, like that's a character that I really enjoyed throughout the movie.
Okay,
good linchpin character, you know, someone you kind of forget about, but it's like it comes up really nice. Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts. You say what you will about Gwyneth Paltrow, the woman. You know, maybe you don't necessarily align with some of her ideology.
She's weird, right?
She's a little out there, I think. I think she's a little crunchy, you know.
Okay, gotcha.
I think I could be mistaken about that.
I'm not certain. So I can't.
But she's a great Pepper Potts. I think Pepper Potts in this movie, Gwyneth Paltrow in this movie, is very enjoyable.
I liked her a lot too. I think that
she's confident, she's capable, she's smart.
Was she in Spider-Man?
No, I'm just
Kirsten. I was making a reference. How she forgot she was in Spider-Man.
Oh. Who forgot she was in Spider-Man?
Gwyneth Paltrow. There was like a whole thing.
Remember she was in the end of the movie when she gets the news.
Oh, yes.
She totally forgot that she was in Spider-Man.
Yeah. I was thinking like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man for some reason. Yes.
So,
I killed that joke for you.
Wasn't that good to begin with?
Nah, it's fine. Anyway, one of the things I think that ages very well is the not the graphics. What's the word I'm looking for? CGI, I guess. Of the Iron Man suit. Look, like maybe it's a little bit shinier back then, but it was all brand new. It was the beginning. It still looks like if you said to me, "This is the new outfit he's going to use now, tomorrow," I would buy that.
Yeah,
I wouldn't say it's taking a step back at all.
I think there's a couple of things that I had in there about that, but it's a good, very high ceiling that we're starting from. You can see how he goes from the nanotech that sits on his shirt pretty much, and then you see how everything the Mark III suit's a little bit more clunkier. Everything kind of gets screwed in individually. You kind of see that gradual rise throughout all the movies, but it's a great starting floor to see that at the base, and then the nanotech suit at Endgame. That's a reach I can make.
And yes. And I guess what I mean more so is the quality of what the production people did.
Sure, yeah.
It still looks of the same. Like you said, it's not a reach to go from the nanotech to what was here. I still feel like if you said that this suit was made out of nanotech, I'd say like you could throw that in there and you'd be fine still. Like in Endgame, if that's what his suit looked like,
right,
and it was all nanotech,
I think it holds up.
That's what's so. I think it's
better
one of the more amazing
than
things.
Captain America's original suit.
The one when he was with
with the hood,
wings?
the hood and the flap and everything. Like, because you look back at the original Avenger,
that
and
one,
even in Endgame. When he goes back to the original Avengers movie, and there's the
that's
two
the
of them,
worst one.
You know what I mean? It just doesn't look right. It looks hokey.
The original Avengers uniform is for Captain America is that's the worst. I think outfit in all.
Not
movies.
a good one.
Terrible. I'd rather take anything he wore from the first Avenger. That was bad. I mean, those were. I like the one with the helmet, like the actual army helmet. Obviously, the hokey one when he was just acting, but. Right. The other one was just freaking brutal than the Avengers, but yeah, I would say that's what holds up best to me.
Let's see, what's another one that I have in there? I know you guys kind of disagree with me. Obadiah, pretty good villain. I like Jeff Bridges in it. Outside of like the mirror match thing at the end.
You know what I like about Obadiah in this is that
he's a convincing, military jerk.
He is. I did not. I remember when I was a kid, I didn't really know who Jeff Bridges was like that. Like I had seen The Big Lebowski at that point, I believe, but I just didn't know who Jeff Bridges. The significance of him. I look back at it now, I'm like, I know it's him, but it's like, God,
that's the dude, huh?
Yeah, it just seems weird, bald. I think that's just what it is for me.
I just can't buy him as a villain. Like I like him too much in almost everything that he's in. That it's hard for me to suspend. I mean, like, this is like you said, this is the dude. This is Flynn from Tron. I can't really suspend my like of him as an actor.
Right.
Even watching him in True Grit was kind of tough to watch him play Rooster Cogburn because I'm so used to him not being that character.
This also made me think of too is the fact in Endgame they mentioned the Big Lebowski talking about Thor, and then remember,
right?
That was one of the things Tim expected you to pick out and complain about was how can you do that?
Right?
How can they exist in the same universe?
Right? Yeah,
it's not possible. But yeah, I mean,
in that universe, the Big Lebowski was played by his brother Beau Bridges.
Was that American Idol?
No, that was Beau Bryce.
Oh,
Jeff Bridges legitimately has an actor brother named Beau Bridges.
He does?
Yes.
Oh,
and their dad, Lloyd Bridges, is an actor.
I'm looking up Beau Bridges right now.
You've probably seen Beau Bridges in a ton of stuff. He does a lot of stuff with Jeff Bridges.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I know. Yeah. I know who that is.
Okay.
They look alike. It's just he went bald and...
I didn't see the family resemblance a ton, but I mean, I know who you're talking about now. I can't think of a movie
and
he's
you know
in.
his dad, Lloyd Bridges. You ever see the movie Airplane? Looks like I picked the wrong week to stop sniffing glue.
Lloyd Bridges. Oh yeah. I know him as he's Mandelbaum from Seinfeld.
Oh yeah.
The family that's like.
I think wasn't he in Hot Shots too?
He might have been. I don't think I ever saw Hot Shots. But he's like, I bet you I can lift that TV up over my head.
Yeah.
Bolt it to the ground. But anyway, back to Iron Man.
Yes.
Did you have anything else that aged well? Oh, the device.
The device Obadiah uses to give you short-term paralysis.
That's
I think
pretty cool.
that would be a really awesome device that would have a lot of application.
Yeah, that would be terrifying if that existed in the real world. You'd have a lot of problems.
But you could do almost anything.
Yeah,
Get away with it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. That's awesome. That should be played up a little bit more. What's aged the worst?
I think
so. The first phrase, right in the opening line, right there, when Tony Stark is in the Humvee with the couple of other Army Ranger soldiers, or whoever, whatever they are. They take the photo, the snapshot of it, and he's like, "I don't want to see this on your MySpace page."
Right,
Yeah.
Doesn't really hold up that well.
And they're using a camera instead of a cell phone.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh my God, that's a good point.
Doesn't really hold up. Maybe you noticed this throughout the course of the movie, but Terrence Howard. Yeah. Only in this movie once, or only time in this series.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He's not in the restaurant. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh no, you know what?
As War Machine.
Oh, I get what you're saying. Yeah, no, really?
Yeah.
He's not in the second one?
No, this is the only they from what I understand, they wanted Don Cheadle to begin with, but Don Cheadle couldn't commit because he had another movie that he was filming.
Oh.
So they hired Terrence Howard, but then conveniently Terrence Howard quit because from what I read,
he was getting squeezed out.
From what I read, he felt like he wasn't featured enough in the movie.
So I
War Machine,
read
bro.
that Tony Stark took the money that was going to be allotted for War Machine.
That's the story I've heard.
And then suddenly priced out, or squeezed out Terrence Howard from the.
He's horrible in that movie.
I don't think he's bad.
I can't stand his high pitched voice.
Okay.
He has no. I want my roadie to have a little bit of, punch to it, a little bit of.
You think Don
machismo.
Cheadle
I think he has a
provides
little more.
that?
I don't think he has. Still don't think he has enough.
So with Don Cheadle, I feel like I don't love either of them necessarily as War Machine, but I don't know if that I love the character in general. The reason I prefer Don Cheadle over Terrence Howard is I feel like Terrence Howard is very condescending in his role, but there's not, like you said, there's not a lot of punch to him. I feel like Don Cheadle is more by the book, which he should be. Terrence Howard kind of wants to, do what Tony does, but Don Cheadle does what he thinks is supposed to be done, but at the same time, he's not like over the top with it. Where I feel like where he's condescending.
And Don Cheadle feels more like a friend, whereas Terrence Howard seems more like the guy that suffers through having to know Tony Stark.
Yeah, that's a really good call.
So,
and that's not what I don't think.
I think Don Cheadle is just kind of like corny punchline, bad jokes, one-liners, and that's all he really does.
It does have a lot of a sense of we need a recognizable black guy in this role.
Terrence Howard is a recognizable black guy.
I think Don Cheadle is more.
I think what he ended up giving was more of a crash Terrence Howard performance than like a hustle and flow Terrence Howard performance. Like maybe is that what you wanted a little bit more? Someone with like a little bit more edge, a little bit more grit. Power Terrence Howard. My understanding is that
the War Machine character and Rhodey is supposed to be more of a military kind of badass guy. And I didn't get that with him. I got more of like a.
I don't really think I get that with either.
I don't get it with either.
No, but I get a little bit more of it with Don Cheadle than I do with Terrence Howard.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm fine with Don Cheadle as Rhodey. I think that's okay.
I think he's just been a throwaway
I would have liked to seen a little bit more of Terrence Howard. Like, give him the second movie.
I feel like Terrence Howard got in the way. And when he got in the way, it didn't do anything for me.
Yeah, I kind of like it. He's talking to Tony at the first time he takes out the suit, and he kind of takes out the fighter jet there, and they're kind of having that. What do they end up calling it? A training exercise.
Yep. That was funny.
Yeah, and the back and forth on that, like I kind of like that. I thought that was good.
That was funny. I'll grant him that when he comes and says, "No, I can't. It's not that easy." And it's like, no, it is that easy.
But in the end, such a tertiary character that it doesn't even matter.
Yeah. I mean, it's how they wrote it, I guess.
Something else that didn't age the best here is Tony Stark being a renowned warmonger. It just kind of disappears the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, he gets more philanthropic. That was one of the big takeaways from this movie is that you see him established already as like a genius playboy
billionaire,
but
philanthropist,
not a philanthropist
not
yet.
A philanthropist.
He doesn't really show that yet, and it was only once he really becomes Iron Man that he kind of cleans up his act a little bit, and you see him a little bit more philanthropic with his time. Not philosophic.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
The female reporter, I'm drawing a blank on her name, but the blonde.
Yes, the actress is Leslie Bibb.
Okay, they should have found a way to utilize her more. I know they have her like in little special things through the years, but she's gorgeous.
That scene also has not aged well.
Yes.
No.
In the Me Too era, that scene has definitely not aged well.
Oh my God, that's a great point. Yeah. Oh man.
Very uncomfortable watch.
Yeah.
Knowing that now this is like the biggest series for kids to watch.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah, they really toned down because you also see it more in the second one when they introduce Black Widow. But with Tony trying to lusting after her. But they also kind of toned down the Playboy aspect of that.
Yeah, and you look at anything from there and previous. I mean, that's stuff like that happened all the time.
Yeah.
I was watching the X-Men the animated series, like Gambit, constantly left and right. Every woman wants him, and he's going to talk to him.
Right.
Like they want him too.
Well, he's got that Southern charm. He's a Southern beau.
I'm not even going to pretend like I can do that accent.
Right.
I do bad enough ones it is. That would just be miserable.
Better than I am with him.
Well,
last thing that aged the worst for me, the Burger King ad.
Yeah, I don't get this.
So the advertisement that they had, because you remember, it was a huge advertisement when this movie came out. That they were teamed up with Burger King.
Okay.
They did all these, every cup of soda that you bought from Burger King had Iron Man plaster on the toys and everything on there.
I think I have one of those cups still.
Sure, yeah. But in the movie, when he comes back from after being captive, he said, "I want a cheeseburger," and he's eating a Burger King
at the
Whopper.
press conference.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. He was. I do remember that.
Yeah, it's just like a little, on the nose.
I never heard that.
Product placement.
Never heard that saying before, but that one was very, very obvious. And as a kid, I didn't really notice it. So let me ask you this. If you were in his situation, let's say you're just on a deserted island for a few months, and then you come back, what's the first thing that you guys are going to eat?
First,
I think Burger King.
I think fast food would be, pizza might be the right one. Pepperoni for me.
Yeah, definitely pepperoni pizza.
If I was going to do a burger, it wouldn't be Burger King as much as I love the rodeo burgers. It would probably be a Big Mac.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
I'd just be worried about the fact that I haven't had one in a month. Like,
what's going to do to you afterwards?
Yeah, sometimes I go on these kicks where I stay away from fast food for a few months, and then the first one just kills me afterwards.
Right. It just chews up your insides.
That's why I just keep eating them anyway. So that I can
so you can build up the tolerance to it. I get you. It's a good way around that.
KFC would be another thing. Mac and cheese, Chinese food. There are a lot of different options. I don't think Burger King would be my number one.
I think Chinese food would probably be
Chinese. I love steamed dumplings. Big fan of the steamed dumpling. Not fried, steamed.
I like the boneless spare ribs.
Yes.
General Tso's chicken.
The edge, like the burnt edges. Those are the best ones of the spare ribs.
Yeah, that's a good call.
But anyway, we're not talking about Chinese food here. Who won the movie? I have three choices here. Please feel free to add any.
I don't think it's debatable. I think it's
I think it is a little bit. So the three choices are RDJ, Jon Favreau.
Okay. All right. Now we're okay.
Or Kevin Feige.
Okay.
I mean, Kevin Feige obviously having the vision and the wherewithal to lay out this plan and then trust in Jon Favreau for executing it, and then just kind of going right down the list. I think that's like the trickle down effect.
Did he trust him, or was he more like, let's take a chance with this guy because we're taking a chance anyway?
But I mean, they chose him
with Feige. So.
Yeah.
You think most of the stuff he's done is on accident though?
No, I'm talking about just with Favreau. Was it like, let's not bring in a big name director for this?
Right.
Let's give it to this guy so that if it does fail, it's not as spectacular. We can be like, we have this guy.
But he still exceeded expectations nonetheless. They got the right guy to do it.
Right. I mean, yeah, he definitely had the right fan vision.
Look, I'm not going to go and say Feige's he's not beyond making mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes. But I don't think that he was going and looking at this and saying, it's a low risk, whatever. I think he knew what he had in front of him, and this was important. We've talked about that multiple times, how important this movie is. You don't think he looked at it and said, maybe we're better off not getting a big name because then we can work with him and build from there.
Yeah, I think that was part of it. Was let's get a guy that's going to let us put our fingers in the pie.
Yeah. As opposed to just there's low risk, blah blah blah. I think it's more.
Well, no, it is. It is low risk.
It is, but I don't think
because
that's what
I'm sure Jon Favreau didn't have a getting paid on the back end of the movie deal.
Probably
they paid him what they paid him, and that was it.
Probably
now you try to bring in Ang Lee or who are some of the big action directors of the time?
Michael Bay.
You know, you bring in any of these guys, they're going to want points on the back end, and Marvel needed those points on the back end,
right? Yeah,
because that's how they saved themselves from bankruptcy.
Mm-hmm. Snyder.
Getting the points. Yeah, give me the points, baby.
Could you imagine if Snyder was the one that had to handle this at the beginning?
Oh, yikes.
Yeah,
I think Robert Downey Jr. was the big winner overall because he was the one that had nothing to lose and everything to gain. And if it worked out well, he could have walked away from the franchise at any point and let somebody else play Iron Man. Mm-hmm. Because they totally could have made movies without Tony Stark and just had Iron Man. And nobody would ever know who's in the suit. You know, like they could have gotten away with that if they needed to.
See, I'm going with Feige. You said RDJ had the least amount to lose. I think Feige had the most to lose. He had the most chips in. And it's just paid off over this, last 10, 11-year run to the point where, like,
there was nothing left of Marvel at that point.
He's a god, yeah. Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Anything, like, he could do whatever he wants. He can get any celebrity, like we were just saying about Keanu Reeves. All these guys, you could pull in all these different actors now. Okay, you want an automatic payday? You want a recurring role, automatic payday?
You want to be relevant again?
Video game rights. And
do you want your kids to think that you're a superhero?
The other thing, too, is I don't think this has been... there's been a lot of downplaying of this, but I'm sure there was quite a bit of battling between Feige and Avi Arad over the direction of Marvel, too, because he's looking at all the Fox stuff, and, like, they're making money with that deal. And even though you're giving up the properties to somebody else to be able to do that. So I think there was probably some internal struggle there that if this didn't work, he might have been out of a job anyway, like even just with Marvel.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So I think Feige is my big winner from this movie and everything.
I think that's when you spell it out like that. I didn't know the direction you were going in. I was thinking more Robert Downey Jr. I'll definitely say this. As much as Favreau did well and everything,
I mean they all win. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say Favreau is definitely it's between Feige and RDJ in the course of things. But I think with Robert Downey, it's like you went and you're immortalized.
Right.
I mean, forever. No, you can say the MCU could go to crap over the next 5 years. Like Feige still has to keep on his A game.
Right.
RDJ, he could go and make crap movies forever. Guess what? He is still Tony Stark.
Yeah, he is Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones or Han Solo or something. It's like one of those type of roles.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
It's outstanding.
The one case I'll make for Jon Favreau is that he was given the license to start a franchise and obviously paid off dividends, as we'll get down a little further down the road as we get into Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3, and then obviously his work in consulting with the Avengers movies. Mm-hmm. But also he was just given a huge IP to kind of usher in another new series in Star Wars. And I would imagine based off of this right here, I think that this was his working resume as a reason to be hired on The Mandalorian.
What's kind of surprising too, watching one of the first things that jumped out to me was, I would say, about 3/4 of the way through the movie when I saw him. I think it was the second time I saw him. I was like, he's hardly
he's
in
not
this
featured.
movie.
Yeah, he's not all that much in there.
I thought he was in a lot more. Like after I saw the second one, it just seemed like he was in a lot more in the first one. Totally not the case.
Yeah, he's aged. He's gotten better as time has gone on.
For sure,
his role has. How about some foreshadowing or Easter eggs at all? I just had Agent Coulson from S.H.I.E.L.D. He's obviously plays up in it. The truth, Tony has a Hark plaque that obviously comes back into play with Avengers Endgame.
Wasn't it Proof?
Proof.
Yeah.
Truth, proof. Yeah.
Same difference.
Either way. Yeah.
Okay, I was just making sure.
But what I do find is weird is that at the end of the movie, Tony Stark breaks that to use at his heart. So how?
Yeah, they must have put it back and redid it.
They just got another one?
Yeah, because he probably replaced it later on with a better model.
Desperate times call for desperate measures.
Show, don't tell. That's the age-old rule of storytelling.
Wait a minute, I thought it was don't let facts get in the way of a good story.
Well, it's I switch them around for when I need it.
Okay, right. Well, there you go. Don't let facts get in the way of a good story.
Right, exactly. Yes. Raza.
I think it was Rizal, but I don't know. It's whatever.
The leader of the Ten Rings gang, which of course is going to be reprised in Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings or whatever it is. Yeah.
That one I totally forgot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So that was a nice one. And then Rhodes, Rhodes watches Tony fly off. He looks over at the other suit and says, "Next time, baby."
Yeah, I mean, we knew. The next one is like, yeah, of course.
Little did we know, though, he would not have that next time.
Oh, man, that sucks. I mean,
that's like the last scene you see of him, too. You know,
I've seen lists on of like actors who've been not screwed over by Marvel, although I would say in a way Terrence Howard kind of was. But through the years, like who actors didn't work out well with Marvel in the end. Like he had to have it the worst though. Like you go and play Rhodey, who most people don't like really like Rhodey that much, and then you don't even get to wear the friggin' suit. You just
you're just
Colonel Rhodes.
Right.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate your service.
I have to say the best, and maybe it's foreshadowing to some degree, but the moment that made me walk away from that movie saying, "Oh damn," wasn't just the whole movie itself, but just him standing before the world and saying, "I'm Iron Man."
I'm Iron Man, yeah.
Like that, it was a game changer because we had never seen a superhero movie before where the world was going to know who was behind the costume or the suit or whatever.
And not only that, but the person who's behind the costume is outing himself, not a villain or something else.
Right. Yeah, because in that decade, we had the 3 Christopher Nolan Batman movies, right? 2008 was The Dark Knight, correct?
I think so, yeah.
So we had those 2 movies versus this, where I remember seeing that as a kid thinking, wait, what? Like Batman always says you don't tell, like it's gonna hurt everybody else who's close to you. What are you doing?
Right, him coming right out and saying it, you're like, this is gonna be a different kind of superhero.
Yeah,
and we're gonna see a different kind of superhero world now.
I think you've said that before, Wes. How you think that was one of the that may have been the pivotal point.
Well, yeah, and it was interesting. I think we talked about it in juxtaposing Peter Parker and Spider-Man when him coming out and saying how Iron Man was so gung-ho and at the forefront of outing his identity. And Peter never got that opportunity. Now he's kind of hiding and still young and scared, to let people into that world where Tony was kind of brash and just, bring it on.
Yeah.
I'm ready for it.
See, watching this over again, too, our argument of Iron Man versus Cap, most important character in the MCU, it's like, it's still... I was watching
the ripple effects.
It's just he's so important. You know what I mean? I don't like that conversation hurts me to my core. I didn't say you were right.
Well, you didn't have to. Because
when I watched the hour of the battle scene or whatever it was from Endgame, and then I see Cap's the guy staring down all of Thanos' army.
Right.
It's not Iron Man there. It's Captain friggin' America. He's the one that says Avengers Assemble.
No, but he does have a callback to his "I am Iron Man" line.
Yes.
In there.
Yeah, it's
with the snap, so that's that there.
There's a mic there. Very good point.
So we covered this. I just have some questions here. The Don Cheadle versus Terrence Howard debate. Another question here. The physics of the Iron Man suit. We did this in our now defunct segment, Stay Woke of the Week, the real Iron Man suit here. But if he falls from the sky, I know it's an indestructible suit. But, if you land on your leg, you're going to break your leg.
Inside the suit.
The suit. Right. Yeah, or if you get, whipped from your arm, your shoulder can pop out of the socket or, break an elbow or something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a good point. I mean, I don't know what's going on inside that allows that.
I don't know how that works.
No, I don't get it either. I mean, because there's no amount of, padding that you could put in there that's going to save you.
I think there's some degree of shock absorption in the suit too.
That would make more sense.
Yeah, but still, I think at some point,
I was thinking,
it's kind of weird.
What's funny is I was just thinking about on the way here. There are some things where I can. Is it suspend your belief or suspend your disbelief, Tim? How does it go?
Suspend your disbelief.
Suspend your disbelief. Yes. Okay, so there are times where I can do that, and this is something where I'm totally fine with it because it's made up, I guess, is why it doesn't bother me. But then there are other things in real life where it's this is boring to me, even though everybody else sees it as, I don't know what's going to happen. I was thinking about the Patriots and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah. Right.
I'll tell you about it more later. But anyway,
all right.
What else do you got for the questions?
Could Tom Cruise, Hugh Jackman, Nicolas Cage, Sam Rockwell, or Timothy Olyphant have done a better job as Tony/Iron Man? These were the other reported actors up for the role.
Now, Sam Rockwell ended up playing the other guy.
Justin Hammer.
Thank you.
In Iron Man 2.
And why can't I picture Timothy Olyphant right now?
He's the guy from Justified and Deadwood.
Yeah, he kind of looks like, who's the other actor? Josh Duhamel.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So Timothy Olyphant, no,
I'm a
definitely
huge
not.
Olyphant fan.
Yeah.
I don't see him.
No, Sam Rockwell, definitely not. Nicolas Cage, hell no.
I couldn't see anyone, and that's just
Definitely.
really a testament to Robert Downey Jr. is that I just can't picture him as anyone else now.
Yeah, there are a few actors who've taken on roles, and it's like, nah, I could just never ever seeing somebody else take that on again. And especially when the ones that the character already pre-existed, like Iron Man. Like if you say that about Han Solo and Harrison Ford, it's like, well,
Right.
I mean, that character was created. Harrison Ford took it on. It's this Iron Man already existed. I think that when you look at Robert Downey Jr., it's just there's nobody else. Someone will play him eventually. It's gonna take. You got to give it a lot of time though.
Right, it'll be tough. Yeah,
because it's just there's no way anybody else can do it like he does. He like you said it. They've changed that character around to fit him.
Yeah.
It's more than anybody else.
I just can't imagine. Like, definitely not Tom Cruise. Can you imagine like Hugh Jackman? That would be kind of interesting.
No.
That's the one like maybe.
I mean, it's one maybe that could work, but I still would. If that happened, then I'd be like, this is Wolverine. He's Iron Man too.
Right. And Hugh Jackman just seems like a nice guy. Like Robert Downey Jr. kind of has that a-hole
Right.
edge to him.
Like part of why Chris Evans from Human Torch to Captain America was okay was because those movies sucked. I mean, as much as Human Torch is probably the coolest character in the Fantastic Four, you say the Thing, whatever.
Human Torch, I'm with you.
Yeah, I mean, the reason that worked was because it's not as big a deal right now. So you can go and make him Captain America, and it's also like a step up. I feel like with Wolverine to Iron Man at that time, it's a step back.
It's a step down. Yeah,
so that's
for sure.
I couldn't go with any of them. I guess it comes down to
Yeah, that's tough.
Nicolas Cage.
I didn't even feel like at that point in his life, I didn't even feel like Robert Downey Jr. was acting when he was playing Tony Stark.
That's
like
what's
when
really
he's playing the a-hole part.
Right. Yeah.
Obviously the softer scenes, but when he's just being himself, rapid fire delivery, I was like, that just seems like Robert Downey Jr.
That's
easy for him.
That's what's so amazing about some of these castings, but with him above anybody else, he just seems so much himself in his element. Like that's why Ryan Reynolds is so good as Deadpool, because that seems like him.
It's perfect. It's tailor-made for him. Exactly.
You can't. There are a lot of great castings in all these things, but man, like that Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr., it's on a level of its own. No questions asked. Anyway,
my last question, and perhaps the most important question of the evening: do you think Agent Coulson and Pepper Potts screw throughout the trilogy at all?
No,
I think so.
You do?
Yes.
All right, you got to walk me through this.
Yeah, I'm out on this idea.
Yeah, no way.
She's very coy with him the whole time. Like they're very flirty. Even if you go into Iron Man 2, there is a point where she calls him by his first name, which I'm blanking on. Phil, yes. And it catches the attention of Tony Stark. It's like, Phil, you call him Phil now? You're on the first name basis and everything. And they're always having kind of a glass of, and they're just always real flirty. I just think Tony's not around all that often, especially at this point in time and at the end of Iron Man. They're like not really together, not really an item. So, she could do whatever she wants, really.
Remember that Coulson dies relatively early in all these things.
Yeah, in Avengers.
As much as he comes back for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., we don't see any crossover.
Right, yeah.
Wow,
I think so. I think if you watch it, we'll look at it more in Iron Man 2 when that goes on. And I think you'll get more of it there.
I think you want this to happen more than you believe it actually
I think
happened.
it's there, yeah.
Tim,
and I think it's not so, maybe we're going with a conspiracy theory here.
Oh, here we go.
Phil Coulson dies in Avengers, maybe because Iron Man is plotting against him.
I'm not
gonna save this.
I'm not gonna save this guy if the chance comes up.
If he dies, he dies, sort of thing. Ivan Drago style.
If he dies,
I could also see Phil Coulson as being, asexual.
He could.
The job comes first.
But it's always the unsuspecting ones that are just wild in the sack,
Now you know who his wife is in real life.
No, I don't.
What's it? Clark Kellogg, is that his name? Clark, the guy that plays him.
I think you're right. I'll pull it up.
His wife is Jennifer Grey. So
Who's
Baby
that?
from Dirty Dancing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's
she's also in
stupid little trivia. Ferris Bueller.
That's good.
Yeah. Why is
that's good to know.
Yeah.
I think that wraps up everything I got. Unless you guys have anything else you want to add.
I'm just annoyed by that.
Questions or things like that.
No. Clark Kellogg is the basketball announcer.
Right.
I was going to say
right.
Clark
That's
Kellogg.
right.
I was going to say thrown off.
It's something Clark something.
Clark Duncan. Michael Clark Duncan.
That's a different guy.
Clark Gregg.
Clark Gregg?
Yes.
Gregg?
Yes.
Okay.
It's Clark Kellogg.
Speaking of Clark's, I get to meet Chevy Chase this week.
Oh, you do?
Oh, really? I thought you were going to make a Smallville reference.
No, he's doing a screening of Christmas Vacation in Worcester at the Hanover Theater.
Oh, really?
And so my agent represents him, so he's got me tickets. So
Oh, wow.
Nice.
I get to go and see the show and hopefully meet him backstage. Yeah,
I heard he's a little weird.
Yeah, I hear he's a real dick. So
Yeah.
I'm a little bit worried about.
And now
this.
he's old, where he probably just doesn't care
Right.
anymore.
Like,
So
now,
it's
yeah, he's an
even more
80-year-old
so.
dick.
Yeah.
Make a Fletch reference for me. See how much it pisses him off.
I'm sure it will. Like, introduce myself. Hi, I'm John Cocktoaston.
Oh, that's very funny. I've never heard that one before.
Yeah.
Trust what I'll say.
Yeah, exactly.
Real original. What's your name again? Shut up.
Well, we got that for
Oh,
Tim
God.
for what's on his mind.
Get a camera for
No,
that.
I actually have a good thing for what's on my mind
Oh, okay.
that'll spark Nick a little bit. Nick, I had no idea until I went back on Disney Plus and watched X-Men the Animated Series. I had no idea that Jubilee was Asian.
In that show?
Yeah.
I didn't think she was Asian when I watched that show.
When they have the paperwork on her, when the mutant registration paperwork on her,
It says it on there?
it says Jubilation Lee, and it says ethnicity Asian.
Really?
Had no idea.
I didn't know that it said that in the show either.
Mind blowing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not that
Crazy.
it matters, but
Yeah, no, but I mean, obviously we saw in, what was it, Days of Future Past? No, it was,
no, I think it was Days of Future Past. Wasn't
was it Days
First
of
Class, one of those two. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
Yeah, she's Asian.
yeah, she was Asian in that, but in the
But
show,
in the show, you never thought that she
no,
was.
Yeah.
in the show, I never thought that. That's what when they did it, it was like, okay, whatever. But yes, you're right. Okay, I'm sorry. I couldn't tell if you were being sarcastic for a second.
No, I saw the paperwork. Maybe because
Yeah.
like in the 90s when you're looking at a TV, it's not sharp enough to
Yeah.
like make out all that stuff. But now with the high definition,
There are definitely
televisions,
things
yeah.
I didn't notice before when having gone back and watched like 7 or 8 episodes so far.
Right.
Got a little hooked on it.
Yikes.
Speaking of getting hooked on shows,
Yes. Finally, Nick.
finally have watched Stranger Things all 3 seasons. Like I told you, Wes, the reason I was apprehensive about starting it was because once I started it, I knew I was going to want to go through it all right away. That's exactly what happened. And then
And was it so bad? Right.
it was outstanding.
Exactly. Worth
I
it.
loved every single second of it. Yes, I agree with you. The first season is still the best, but season two is not a big drop off. But I will say the drop off from 1 to 3 is a little bit more.
It's just starting to lose me. They're getting too old.
I mean, I'll still watch season 4.
Yeah, no, I definitely will.
But I think you're right when you first expressed the concerns back when we heard about the initially that they're going to have a season 4. I am at some point. Take it easy, guys. Like you got to stop it.
Just end on top. You pull Seinfeld.
Go
know?
on a high note.
Yeah, exactly.
And I also finally watched
More importantly, I
True
would say.
Detective,
Yeah.
season 1 and season 3, as suggested by Wes. I skipped season 2, and I've heard from multiple people that I've told since then that I made the right decision on it. But I have to credit Wes 100%.
Thank you. I'll take it.
I appreciate that. Season 3 is good. Season 1 is outstanding.
Outstanding television.
Some of the best. I mean, some of the best entertainment I've ever consumed in my life. Matthew McConaughey, performance of a friggin' lifetime. Oh
And
my god.
The Yellow King is scary AF.
Yeah.
It really freaks me out.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, just twists and turns along the way. But I am just every time. Woody Harrelson's good, but he obviously pisses you off a lot in the show.
Right.
But every time Matthew McConaughey is on screen, I'm like,
Yeah, riveting.
yeah, I feel like I'm like a teenage girl watching. I was like, oh my god, this guy's amazing.
I know.
Can't get enough of him right now.
I've had quite a few Lone Star beers out of inspiration solely because of that show.
I could see myself watching that over again.
Yeah.
Just to watch him performing it.
Like I said, I've seen it 3 or 4 times. You pick up little different things too. Like you notice real early on how they introduce you to the Yellow King in like episode 4.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
you don't really notice who it is, but they end up showing it to you, and then it all comes back. It's like all little stuff like that. What's on my mind?
Yes, please.
Best show on television right now, Watchmen, HBO.
Oh, really? So you're
Unbelievable, yeah.
4?
4 or 5 episodes in right now. I forget. I just watched the most recent one. It's amazing.
Is the movie on Netflix or anything? Right? It's Netflix still, right?
The Watchmen? No,
Yeah.
this is HBO.
No. I know the show, but the movie Watchmen is on Netflix, right?
So.
I'm not sure. I
don't
think they
think it's
pulled
on
it. I think it might
Netflix.
be on the DC universe, isn't it?
Oh my. Okay. I have to. I want to watch that before I get in on the show.
Yeah,
But
you don't have to.
No, that's fine. But I mean,
Actually, you don't have to watch the movie at all because the timeline that the show takes
operates
place
with
in,
the
it's the comics,
right.
not the movie. The movie's different than the comics. So this comes off the comics.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe they have like a documentary or something online that you can find that gives you a deep dive breakdown. I think it's a video type thing of all the connections from each episode that call back to the graphic novel.
Okay.
So you can kind of like piece things together retroactively. If you have questions about that.
The only reason I'm apprehensive is just because you know how I am. I like to have like all the details I'm supposed to have going into it. Not the spoilers necessarily, but just a full understanding.
It's also more fun though to let it unravel. The way it's unraveling the connections.
Have you watched it too?
Oh yeah.
Okay. I haven't read the graphic novel. I've seen the movie.
Really?
No.
I'm stunned.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't be if you know me at all. But I think they do a good job of kind of keeping you like in the loop and an idea of everything. Like, I've been able to follow along pretty well.
And actually, a lot of what's going on has very little to do with The Watchmen.
Okay. But you love it. I mean, you haven't.
Well, it's Damon Lindelof who did Lost and one of my favorite shows, The Leftovers, and it's that same type of ilk with it's all about relationships within a community and kind of how those relationships evolve based off of one shared experience.
Gotcha.
And one traumatic shared experience, maybe, So I think that's kind of really interesting. So it's really like less to do about the superhero aspect of the world and more about human interest, human interaction.
It'll get interesting if they introduce Rorschach. Now, I haven't seen the latest episode. I didn't watch that last night.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but
no, you're in the clear now.
I know that they were saying that there's no promise that they will. Mm-hmm. And they've teased, they've referenced Dr. Manhattan, but they've said they probably won't bring Dr. Manhattan onto the screen.
Right.
Which I think is a mistake because I think you need these bigger characters to be part of this universe. But again, everything changes when they get a season 2.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
By the way, real quick, this was on our chat on YouTube. I totally missed this. Per one of our listeners, Jeffrey McNamara, he wanted to point out that Paltrow invented yoga according to Paltrow.
Oh, did she? Yes. Okay, so there. Enough said right there.
Thank you very much for your
contribution.
contribution.
But she's a great Pepper Potts, though. I will say she's looks great. Looks great as Pepper Potts.
So one of only 2 things I've ever liked her in.
Yeah.
The other thing was when she was in Great Expectations.
I was going to say 7.
Oh yeah, she was in 7. Yeah, she was okay in that
7.
Too.
Okay.
She was, in fact, what was in the box.
What's in the box?
That's it. So yeah, next week, our favorite episode.
TBD.
Yes.
Love it. Reminder that we're going to be audio only, no live stream next week.
Yes, exactly. Yes, thank you.